the best team in the NBA, the first team to 30 wins in the NBA. That's right, Jamsters. It's your Phoenix Suns as they defeat the Los Angeles Clippers, aka the Los Angeles former Phoenix Suns from 2015, with Eric Bledsoe and one of the Morai twins. I still don't know which one it is. I'm pretty sure it was Marcus. But they defeat the Clippers on TNT and move to 30-8 overall, Matthew. Best team in the NBA. We are once again holding that moniker. And you know what? It's a nice thing to say. So I said it.
Yeah, it's very nice, especially with the All-Star game coming up soon. And then basically the fan voting, the first draw just came out today. So, it helps. If you have the best team in the NBA, it's going to help that voting, I think. So that's a good reason to have your team be the best.
Well, great analysis. Brought to you
You know what?
by Matthew Lassie.
I'm still the worst at starting these podcasts. Like, I've never been good. Like, anytime you ask me anything and I come on here, I think I know what I'm going to say, and I just stumble through it, no matter what. It's
You
always
want
like
you
this.
want some advice? I'll help you out, bud. Write
What's
down
the
a couple
advice?
things. Write down like
But I
one
don't know where
point
you're going to
that
go. I don't know
yeah,
where you're going to go.
but see, the beautiful thing is you wordsmith it and you just turn it right around. I could sit like, hey man, the Suns are the best team in the NBA, and you're like, yeah man, and Devin Booker had a hard time shooting tonight, didn't he? I mean, who cares? It's just
Okay. All right,
little.
let's restart
All
this.
right,
Let's
let's
do
start
that
the
then.
pod now. All right,
Okay.
you ready to go live? Oh
Let's go
shit, we've
live.
been live
3,
for
2,
2
1.
minutes now. Okay. But no, I thought that was really interesting, though. Yes, they did release the first round of fan voting for the All-Star game, and of course, you see Klay Thompson has more fan votes than Devin Booker does. And in the end of the day, I don't care. Devin Booker will be an All-Star. This team is the best team in the NBA. We should have 2 All-Stars. We should have 3 All-Stars, but unfortunately, with DeAndre Ayton missing as much time as he has thus far this year, I don't foresee that happening. And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, everybody, hashtag NBA All-Star, hashtag Devin Booker. Like, let's get him in because it's rigged, right, Matthew?
It is rigged. It does not matter. But keep voting. It looks good to get those numbers up. But in the end, I don't think it really matters. It
Yeah, I
doesn't.
think.
Sorry.
And again, it's only 1/3 of the vote. The other 2/3 is the coaches and the players. And I think that they all know that Devin Big Dick Booker needs to make an appearance in Cleveland here in just over a month. So, on that note, Jamsters, again, welcome to the Suns Jam Session podcast, the best post-game podcast on Planet Orange. We appreciate you taking the time after this game to watch along live, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. And if you happen to be watching along live, please hit that thumbs up button on the YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and it'll give you a little reminder on the phone ski here. A little reminder. Let's see. This is you want to see my background now? I did all those neon
Let's see it.
logos.
Yeah, those are killer, man.
Thanks,
So
man.
when are you gonna be using those on the pod? Is it
Next
something
season.
next year? Okay, very
Next
cool.
season.
It'll be here
Yeah,
before you know it. So,
I got bored and I started making neon. I did it with the Suns. I was like, that's kind of cool.
mhm.
And I have all the NBA logos vector based on Adobe Illustrator because I make all the pod title stuff for our podcast. I'm like, I'm bored. Let's go. And next thing you know, I had them all. So I think I'm gonna do the NFL ones next,
So
just because.
futuristic. Love it.
Yes, I love neon stuff. So if you're listening to the pod,
Okay.
please subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts is much appreciated. And a 5-star, if you just click the 5 stars, they don't let you review on Spotify, but
Mhm.
if you go onto Spotify, you can hit the 5. So on that note, Matthew, what we cracking open here? Listen, I don't have a beer. I have a Red Bull for the crack sound, but I ain't drinking this because it's like
All right. It's
super late.
super late, and I have nothing. I let everybody down. I just have a glass of water tonight
Well, here,
with
I'll
Bainesy
crack
on
this
it
open for us.
somewhere. There
Look
he
at that,
is.
the old Aaron Baines one. That's a nice one. So
Yeah,
let's
dude.
crack it. Ah, not
Ooh,
drinking
that's a
that.
muffle, huh?
That was well. I
Just
got
throw it
this.
away.
I get throw that thing away. Let's talk about this victory over the Los Angeles Clippers,
Let's
Jamsters.
do it.
Your Phoenix Suns defeat the Los Angeles Clippers by a final score of 106-89. That's right. They held the Paul George-less and Kawhi Leonard-less Clippers to under 100 points. Hell, they held them under 90 points. But still,
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I gotta ask. We hate the Lakers. Why don't we hate the Clippers?
Because of the Clipper. You have to feel sorry for the Clippers, honestly. And plus they get players like Paul George, a lot of fans really don't hate that player. Kawhi Leonard, a lot of fans really don't hate that player. It seems like the Lakers always have that player everyone hates. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. You can go through all of them. And the Clippers have never won, right? So there's that kind of a little bit of sympathy from fans, Phoenix fans, and I think other fans around the league where, in the end, they're not going to win it all. So why would you root against them? Why would you hate them so much? Of course, they gave us a little bit of trouble last year in the playoffs, but in the end, man, you don't hate this team.
Yeah, this is I was thinking about it because as the TNT broadcast began, because that's where I watched the game tonight. Because again, I'm on the road,
Me
so I'm not gonna
too.
get I'm
Yeah, I
not
was
get
there
the
too.
local.
Let's
So,
go.
they talk about how this is a team that we played in the Western Conference Finals last year, right? And you
Mhm.
think that if this is a team that we played in the Western Conference Finals, if this is a team that we uh, beat in 6 games, and it's a team full of players that we don't necessarily like as Suns fans, am I right? You got
Well, I
Marcus
just said that
Morris,
we did kind of. Oh, yeah, I forgot about those players. There you
Eric
go.
Bledsoe. I mean, so
Yep.
they have some guys who I don't know if you heard it tonight, but got booed plenty. Eric Bledsoe got booed plenty. Marcus Morris got booed plenty. And kudos to every one of the Phoenix Suns fans at the Footprint Center tonight who did so, not because I'm a fan of booing players, but because I'm a fan of educated, smart fans. And that just shows how many people are inside that arena still hold on to the memory of what those guys did to us, 6 years ago, right? I mean,
Yeah,
this
no,
is
you're
something that they
yeah.
should be over, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're totally right, and the thing is, Bledsoe, if he woulda stuck it out with the Suns, maybe things would have been different for him and in the franchise, but I'm so glad he asked out just because I didn't want him on that team at that time. By the time he was like, "I don't wanna be here," it was fine, he did us a favor because we got the point guard now. We would have had to deal with Bledsoe for how long if we were
Oh
actually a
god.
decent team? Like, I can't even stand to watch him on the other team, like, even when he shoots a jump shot, a mid-range, anything, a three-point, I just think it's not gonna go in. I don't think the guy has really any game left in him, honestly. Even maybe pack a backup point guard is pretty decent, but nowadays, I'm glad we moved on from him a long time ago.
But again, so many fans in the arena remembered who he was and how he exited
Mhm.
and how Marcus Morris exited. And they reminded those players it's like, "Hey, we still, have some disdain for the way that you left this franchise in shambles." Because when both of them left, the reputation for the Phoenix Suns was hurt. Let's not be uncandid about that. I mean, that's exactly what
Mm.
occurred when Marcus Morris and Markieff Morris left. They trashed everybody on the way out, including John Gambadoro. When Eric Bledsoe left, and we got Greg Monroe out of the transaction, we were again looked at as a non-destination for anybody, and it took us uh, quite some time, until the bubble in 2020 to rebound from that. So, kudos to those Phoenix Suns fans for reminding that. And trust me, I hold that dear to my heart. Every time I watch those guys, I have a little bit of disdain. And I know it's an old take, if you will, but Bledsoe will always drive me crazy because he's a guy who drives to the hoop with no understanding or cerebralness about him because
Mhm.
he just drives with like I'm going to put the ball up, and once there's a wall he doesn't know what to do. He jumps up in the air and you can see him searching to throw, and he did like twice tonight.
Yeah, when you lose that athleticism, that's the one thing he had, right? The mini LeBron. He had the
Yes.
athleticism to get to the rim and, make a mess of the defense sometimes. But when you lose that, it's pretty much it's not over, but he just can't do much else.
And I've talked enough about Eric Bledsoe tonight. Let's talk about the point guard who started on our team tonight, the point
Yes.
god, Chris Paul. Chris Paul has played in 1,127 regular season games. You add in 129 playoff games. Tonight, against the Clippers, against his old team, he set a career high with 13 rebounds, 14 points, 10 assists, 13 rebounds, and 4 of those assists came in the last 5 minutes of the game when the Los Angeles Clippers got the score 85-80, right? They got
Yeah.
within 5
Yep.
points. You're like, okay, this is getting interesting, again. And I'm not going to go into were you worried, Matthew? Because I don't think any of us necessarily were. It's like, how are we going to get out of this mess?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I worry because myself, I'm like, I don't even know how I would handle that. I would be like the LeBron James, just stop playing, head to the locker room, not even hustle down the court, maybe even bump into a coach or get in a physical argument with a coach, an assistant coach on the sideline when things aren't going your way. Um, Man, tonight, 5-minute mark, big 3-point made by Chris Paul at that time when it was like a 5-point lead for them. And then he finds Cameron Johnson. He finds Sticks, back-to-back plays after Cameron Johnson and after Sticks kind of turned the ball over. A little bit of a mess up on their end to where they just kind of lost the ball and turn it over, give the Clippers a little bit more momentum. It doesn't matter. Chris Paul finds them. He counts on them. He knows that they're going to be ready. These young guys, it's Chris Paul and these young dudes. They're going to probably be jam star of the game. All three of these guys. I love the fact that you can just really plug and play with him. We talked about too, even Biyombo. He is a point guard for a reason. And if you listen to last Bill Simmons podcast, it was crazy to hear. I forget the lead that was on there, but they were talking about, is Chris Paul still the point guard? I never really heard it this year. I'm like, you're not watching Suns basketball. He's making
Amen.
all these players almost like all-star recognized players. I feel like, you know what I mean? Just game to game. I'm not saying a full season's worth, but the way he's making these guys play and the way he's setting them up for, a great future here in the franchise for the rest of the year it's something that only a point guard could do. So he is absolutely a top point guard still in the league. I don't care how many shots Trae Young makes or Steph Curry makes. This guy is ready to ball and make the team better. MVP caliber.
Well, and again, talking about that episode of the Bill Simmons podcast where they're questioning whether or not Chris Paul is still the point god, or if John Morant's starting to take some of that moniker, if you will. They question that, and then they talk about how great Cam Johnson's been, how Bismack Biyombo is joined this team and seamlessly, and how all these players, how Jalen Smith has been, showing up and surprising some people. It's like you realize every one of those players you just mentioned is benefiting from having Chris Paul because, as we mentioned at the
Yes.
end of this game, how easy he makes it look. It's that pass, that wraparound pass to Jalen Smith as he's cutting for, a dunk. It's hitting Mikal Bridges at the perfect time to where Mikal just catches it 1-2 and it's a dunk. It's hitting the wide open 3-point shooters. And it's all of those things around, he makes everyone around him so much better. And don't get me wrong, like Ja Morant is exciting. And they did hit on that on the podcast that he checks so many different categories, if you will, relative to how he's perceived, how he's liked, the casual fan likes him, how the analytic guys like him, how basketball junkies like yourself and myself like him. Like, of course, but Chris Paul, it might not be sexy, but it's methodical and it's like a surgeon. And when it hits that 5-minute mark, like that's when I get excited. I get close to the TV. I'm eating my popcorn. It's getting
Yeah.
a couple kernels stuck in the teeth.
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go,
You got
because
your
this
Red
is going
Bull.
to be the best part of the day. Yeah, I have my Red Bull.
And the best part too is Devin Booker lets him do that. He lets him have the ball. He trusts him. They trust each other. Booker, of course, tonight was not very good. So of course he's gonna let Chris Paul kind of take over and get things done because Booker was kind of frustrated tonight. So that trust they have in each other to where you don't have to worry about Booker ball on an off night. That's even better. That's a real team right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Devin Booker goes 5 for 22 from the field, 0 for 7 from deep. 11 points, has 10 rebounds, and has 4 assists as well. But clearly just had an off shooting night. And it was one of those nights where you could tell right off the bat. I mean, he began the game in the first quarter missing his first 6 shots, and they were just a little off, mid-range jumpers just rolling off the rim. A lot of, obviously all of his three-pointers didn't go in. Every little trick that he has in his bag, everything that we let off our last podcast talking about, he just fumbled with a little bit this evening. And you know what? It was nice to watch a TNT broadcast where they're like, look at Devin Booker's not playing well, and this team is still, waxing the Clippers by halftime. And that's again a credit to the team.
Yeah, and I was gonna bring up a point too, and I kind of forgot it, but Devin Booker. Oh gosh. You know what? Could we just continue? Fuck, I hate when I do that. I should have wrote that one down.
Yeah.
Let's take some notes there, Matthew.
Well, did you see the one play where Devin Booker rebounded the ball? He looked at a wide open Ish Wainwright beyond the arc and was like, "Nah, fam," and just like hit a jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did. But the frustration he had too with the rim too. I think it was like in the third or fourth, the early fourth quarter, where he basically had two putbacks and he missed both of them and finally made one. Like the way he just threw his arms up, like what is going on? Oh, my point I was gonna make was, primetime game tonight against the Clippers, even though they don't have their superstars. Even on a game like this where Booker is off, we know all these guys can step up prime time in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. So this isn't a thing where he has an off night. It's like, oh, can he not perform in the prime time game? No, that's not it. Because he's had plenty of games where he's put up great stats, great wins for the Suns in the regular season and in the playoffs. So that's something you don't have to worry about with this team, which is kind of cool, right? A lot of teams worry about that stuff, but Suns, they just don't this year and last year.
Well, yeah, it's no longer a narrative, because that was one of the questions that we had, uh, you know, early in Devin Booker's career and even going into last season when he finally played in games that had weighted minutes. Because he played on a couple national television TV games. What was it, like 2 or 3 years ago? We only got like one. I think it was the Ricky
Yeah,
Rubio year.
yeah.
We literally got just like one. So we didn't
Mhm.
necessarily know what we had when it came to Devin Booker performing under the bright lights of national televised games. So yeah, he scores 11 points. No one's going to be like, oh man, he just can't do it in the big games. It's like this isn't a big game. I mean, they're clearly hampered. We're not seeing Kawhi. We're not seeing Paul George. We're
Mhm.
hampered. We're without some of our players. So it's just another night for Devin Booker where he's trying to work some things out. And you know what? Didn't work out for him necessarily, and his team still wins by whatever that math is. I don't know. What is that final? Let's see, 106-89.
About
So
40.
yeah, 47.
Yeah,
Clearly,
17 points. Yeah.
they win by 47
It
points.
goes up so quick. It's like 2-point lead. All of a sudden, 11-point lead.
They
We
they
won by
went
17. It's like they just blasted up there, man.
Well, they went on a 21-9 run at the end of the game with,
Yeah.
once it was 85-80, the Clippers only scored 9 more points. The Suns scored,
R-
21 more
Reggie
points.
Jackson. Hey, Reggie, keep shooting those threes, dude.
Keep
How
doing
many
it, man.
Oh my god, man. He just let his team down tonight.
No, big time, big time. Uh, so one thing that, kind of caught my attention was what the news that we heard at the very beginning of the day, and it prompted a new drop.
Biz. Biz.
Oh my god.
I love
So
that
you
drop
can
so
yeah.
much.
So you can hear the Mac at the end at the
I do biz and then it says Mac, but the best
Yeah, I
part is
know.
if you hear the very end, it's when he sings "Oh my God" one more time.
Biz. Biz.
I love
I
it
just love the
so
close-ups of your face all of a sudden, like, just freaking scares the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, for those of you who
That's
for,
awesome, dude.
for those of you who are listening, check out the YouTube. But
There you
but
go. Good job,
but
John. Everybody,
thank
round of
you,
applause. Round
thank
of
you, thank
applause.
you,
Very
thank you
good.
very much. Bismack Biyombo signed by
Mhm.
James Jones for the remainder of the season, and give me your thoughts on that.
Oh, I mean, it was coming, right? What is weird is we wish, you do mostly. You wish for these players, we get them, and we keep them. And now everyone in the TNT broadcast is talking about how we're a big team now. It's crazy because it worked out so well. He signs and then he doesn't let up today. He has a great game again. And initially, I wasn't surprised they signed him because I knew it was going to come, but it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, this franchise cannot mess up right now. They just keep making the right decision one after the other. I just feel like in the past, this would be like a 10-day contract. Okay, that's it. Obviously, we want to be winning, and Biyombo probably wouldn't even be playing the way he's playing because he's not playing with Chris Paul. But I mean, his hustle, everything he's doing, putbacks, anything he's asked to do down there, he's doing it. So it's well earned, man. Right?
No, without a doubt. And I think that, again, statistically, not the greatest night, but I mean, it was impactful because he had those 3 blocks, right? He had 0 points in 13 minutes. He was 0 for 2 from the field.
Hmm.
He only had 3 rebounds, but he had 3 blocks. So he made an impact on the game. And again, it just goes to show you that, and as you mentioned, it's like it feels like the Phoenix Suns can do no wrong. I feel like of all the 10-day contracts that have been dished out this season
Mhm.
across the NBA, and there's been a lot of them. COVID has decimated numerous franchises. I think the only team that's truly avoided it is like Utah. I think Joe Ingles went to COVID protocols, and they're like, they tweeted out from their account like it finally happened. Somebody got COVID in Utah. Now Rudy Gobert. Now that domino has fallen in that franchise as well. But again, across the NBA, there's been a ton of 10-day contracts. I honestly think that Bismack Biyombo, and again, this is clearly Suns bias because it's the one team I watch consistently, but I feel like based on kind of what I view on Twitter, the different articles I read on the Athletic, things of that nature, I think he's had the best and most impactful return to a team. Therefore, the return of
Mhm.
Bismack. Uh, do you think that his signing is it's an indicator that Frank Kaminsky is going to be out for quite some time? Because Flex from Jersey tweeted out a couple days ago. He says, "I'll say it again. The signing of Bismack is going to pay huge dividends down the road. Ayton, McGee, and Biyombo are going to cause serious problems for teams come playoffs. With Kaminsky out, likely out another 6 to 8 weeks, I believe Bismack will be with the Suns for the rest of the year." He tweeted that out 2 days ago because he,
Mhm.
kind of said, "I have some insider information. Essentially, what happened with his injury, it's a rest and assess. They've assessed, and now it looks like it's going to, unfortunately, be at least 2 more months until Frank Kaminsky comes back."
Yeah, and even if he does return, I'm not saying like he's an all-star, he's a great player, but he did make a big impact. I mean, we were undefeated
Absolutely.
with him in the starting lineup, so it's gonna be tough. And for them to resign him, I mean, I did think about that. Dario Saric is just I'm not worried about that anymore. I think that's just long gone. I don't know if he'll ever return or even wear a Suns uniform again. So Kaminsky, we could count on him, but then right now it's so great to have Bismack to where he can come out and just pick up where Kaminsky kind of left off. I know there was a big gap, but as soon as you sign him, he can pick up where Kaminsky left off. Of course, he doesn't have the 3-point shooting, but he does basically allow what Kaminsky was doing. And if we have one or the other, we can count on them. They're reliable. I mean, Kaminsky, you can throw in the starting lineup. He'll do whatever's asked. Bismack Biyombo, these guys are just playing so well together with Chris Paul that it doesn't matter who you plug in there. So the name Bismack, of course, is somebody that we really wanted, and it's somebody that popped on. It's like, oh, I didn't know he wasn't on a team, and then he gets here, and it just proves that like you can really just plug and play anybody. So I think that whole thing with Kaminsky, I just even if he came back, I don't really want to look forward to having him in the lineup just because I feel like it would take him a while to get back into things. It's nice to just have a guy ready to go right now, right? Ready to go into the All-Star break and in the second half
Oh,
of the
big time.
season.
And again, I just think it's an indicator that we're not going to see Frank for a long, long time, if again, the rest of the season because of his injury and the recovery time, because we don't need him. We don't need him right now. So you can continue to let
Mm,
him,
yeah.
do what he does, heal properly, get well, obviously, Frank. But at this point, he's just not going to be somebody who we're probably going to see again. And Bismack Biyombo is going to be the guy who's going to take those minutes, who's going to relieve both Aiton and McGee and give them extra minutes off throughout the regular season. That's again going to ultimately lead to the success of this team. And it's just so funny because earlier in the season, we're just talking on the podcast about how deep this team is and how it was equating to success because of the performances of Frank Kaminsky. He goes down and they get Bismack Biyombo. It's almost like the Arizona Cardinals when they lost Max
Mhm.
Williams and they got Zach Ertz. You're just like,
Oh,
okay,
totally. I know.
same
And then
concept.
and then the Eagles are gonna probably beat the Cardinals in the playoffs. Isn't that weird how that works? It's like you
Stop
leave a
now.
team I know, I'm just kidding. You leave a team to go win, and you might lose to them in the playoffs.
Yep, absolutely.
Bledsoe.
You never know, Bled. Ted Lubin, one of our loyal Jamsters, he says signing Biyombo means less minutes for Nader and Kaminsky. That's when they come back and they're healthy. Sticks deserves some rotation minutes too. And
Mhm.
again, I think that's a valid point.
Stitch report.
One of the things that Monty Williams said before the game today, and it was tweeted out by Dwayne Rankin. He said, Jalen Smith has earned the right for more minutes even when everybody gets back, but sees him at more of the 4 than the 5. He also could see Smith playing the 5 in a small ball lineup. I think the acquisition of Biyombo is Monty Williams and James Jones communicating to each other and saying, hey, Jalen Smith, who let's not fool ourselves. He's been playing really good at the 5. It's when he's played at the 4 that he looks a little bit lost because he's playing against some more athletic wings, and it's harder to defend when you're being pulled away from the area in which he thrives, which is the paint. But they, with the Biyombo acquisition, it is Monty Williams, it is James Jones saying that they want to play sticks more at the 4. Do you think that's the right move in the right place for Jalen Smith?
You know what? At this point, the way Smith is just playing, I know it'd be a bit of a change. I know he can stretch the floor, right? I mean, you don't like the threes too much, but I guess we kind of go back and forth with that because some games he can hit a couple and it looks pretty good. So I just think it's really about his confidence and how confident he is, of course, which he's very confident. So wherever this team puts him, I believe in him to, of course, expand his game. We talk game to game how he improves. He really does. The only downside I think to this is maybe the fact that when Ayton does come back and then they have to the spread the minutes are it gets a little bit thin for him. How is he going to respond to that? You know, I mean, playing these 20-minute games, 25-minute games, it just helps you develop so much more. It's something, of course, you look forward to. It maybe gets him more in the flow of the game. But then I don't worry about that because I think he's just such an aggressive player to where even if he's playing the 4 or even the 5 at times, he's going to be that guy that you can just count on to be aggressive instantly. He doesn't need to get into the flow of the game. He's going to instantly come out and be an impact. The 4 is going to be weird. And I always think the 4 is just such a weird spot now in the NBA, don't you think? Because I feel like you have those tweeners between 3 and 4, and then you just have the guy in the middle, the center, supposedly, whatever the hell they are nowadays. It's just such a weird spot right now because if you play the 4, you're gonna have to spread the floor. And then a lot of them, these guys are they're usually pretty good at shooting threes, but then if they're too big like a Zion, then you play him like at a center position. That's probably the best that he plays at because then he takes up so much room. You know what I mean? It's so complicated right now to where obviously me going on this long answer, I can't really say I'm too nervous about the situation just because I think that he will have the confidence to do whatever is done, but I don't want to see him at the 4. I want to see him at the 5 more. So I'm kind of nervous about that part.
Well, and therein lies the problem because we're not going to see him more at the 5. If you have DeAndre and you have JaVale McGee and you have Bismack Biyombo, all who are
Yeah.
3 defensive enforcers on the interior, which Sticks definitely is, you're not going to see very many minutes for Sticks in that spot. Now, granted, Monty Williams did state that he would utilize him in some small ball lineups as the 5. So again, that adds flexibility. And he hasn't proven that he necessarily plays well as a 4 because it is, he's a rim protector, and it's hard to protect the rim when you have to guard the guy who's standing out in the corner. So you start to
Yeah.
bleed
Yeah.
to the interior on the weak side. Next thing you know, the ball's been whipped around. That guy's hitting a 3, or you're too far up on him defensively and he cuts behind you and you're just not aware of it because you're watching the ball. So I mean, there's going to be a learning curve there. We're definitely a fan of the way that he's been playing at the 5. I mean, you look again tonight, another start for him, 9 for 17 from the field. He had 14 rebounds and 19 points. I mean, those are DA numbers. And that's,
Straight up.
one of the, seriously, it is.
It
And
is. It's exactly what
it's
DA does.
exactly what DA does. So it's one of those things where it's like, maybe the Suns are onto something by not providing the max to DA. And that's a whole nother conversation that I don't want to necessarily go down at this point. But I will say this, you talk about him shooting the threes and how I don't like him shooting the threes. I don't like him shooting the threes when he's our 5. But what I can see is the development for Jalen Smith to become a Jay Crowder type. I think that's what he could become because I remember there was one game where he played a lot of 4 and it looked like Jay Crowder out there. He was chucking threes, he was playing defense,
Mm,
and he was playing physical defense. And he does
okay.
have we have seen over the past about 2 or 3 games a little bit more of that Jalen Smith temper, if you will, a little bit more flair, a little bit more aggressiveness down on the block. How about that play when he was backing down Reggie Jackson and Reggie Jackson just flopped and he missed I think Jalen Smith was so surprised when he jumped up to, lay the ball and that a foul wasn't called. But don't think that that's not going to go in the back of his mind and go, "Oh, I'm allowed to play a little bit more physical than I think I can." So I think that as this time period of the Suns progresses over this next segment, probably about 20 games, when we start to get DA back and we start to get Jay Crowder back and all these guys who could have played tonight, but because the Suns are where they're at in the standings, can literally just go, you know what, we're just going to rest these guys, we're going to bring them back, condition them properly. But don't, take a look at these next 20 games and see how Jalen Smith performs in that four. I think it's going to be very vital because, again, that makes ultimately Jay Crowder expendable at some point in his career with the Phoenix Suns. And then you can do just what Matthews always wanted. Cam Johnson slots into the starting four. Then
Yeah.
you have Jalen Smith coming right behind him. So, I mean, that's how I'm kind of looking at this.
I know, and like we talked the last pod with Coach, and what we're talking about, it's a good problem to have, right? And
Yes.
sometimes when that's said, I don't know if it really is, because you're saying you're going to put Jalen Smith at the 4, where he's just playing so well at the 5. Not like he's unstoppable, but he can grab pretty much any board. He can, anytime he goes towards the rim, even on a pick and roll with Chris Paul, or even when he cuts and he's going towards the rim, the bench stands up because they think he's just going to dunk on someone's ass. Like they stand up because of no one stands up for like a DA, and I'm not trashing. I'm just saying no one stands up for him. But now when Sticks does it, they think he's going to dunk on somebody. Like that's the threat he is. And you're talking about like the flopping. It's something because the smaller guys, of course, they don't know they can guard him. And all these players are going to notice in the league that he's going to be more difficult because he has the length too. And you said the Jay Crowder comparison. I get like the intensity and stuff, but I love him underneath there because he's so long, like a Mikal Bridges,
Absolutely.
to where he can just not dunk all day, but just little oops and everything around the rim just makes it easy for him. So I think it's a tough decision. It's a tough thing for Monty to deal with all these guys now. What the hell do you do? But they'll figure it out. That's
It's a
what
spo-
you don't have to
it,
worry about it.
it's a spoil of riches, and again, I think that that's what makes these next 20 games very interesting to see how Jalen Smith develops, because you're absolutely right. If he's playing the 4 and he can work his way down into the paint and do what he does effectively on both ends of the floor, that's that's a win for the Suns.
Mhm.
But he needs to have some of that ability like Jay Crowder does to spread the floor and to be the guy who's just kind of hanging out in the corner but knows how to crash the boards. Because again, Jay Crowder, second leading rebounder on the team. There's a reason for that, because he's coming in and crashing the boards and assisting with a lot of the team rebounding. That's where Jalen Smith has to learn how to rebound from 30 feet, starting out on the 3-point line and moving inwards versus living down 15 feet and
Yeah,
inwards. So it'll be interesting to see how these next few games go and how he progresses in that area of the floor. I think it's going to be really fun to watch as well. But again,
it
another
will.
great game by Jalen Smith, and maybe sometime we'll have that "is he expendable" conversation, because, and by expendable I mean DA, because it's plug and play right now. It's plug and play right now. So we'll see.
Drop.
Drop it like it's hot.
Lights, Cameron, action.
Career high for Cameron Johnson tonight. 24 points. His career high previous was 22. Matthew, he had
Really?
17 at halftime. He's got the 6th best 3-point percentage in the league. He had 10 of the Suns' 21 points in the first quarter alone, and he
Yeah.
has now had 21 consecutive games with 2 threes. Give flowers to your boy, man.
I mean, it's never ending. I thought he would be good, but I didn't think he would be this good this quick. It's just, of course, the word consistency. It's just something he is. He's just consistent always, and he's just. There's a play where Cameron Payne, good start to the game, a little bit of a bad finish for him, but Cameron Payne brings the ball up, and it doesn't look like anything's gonna happen. It's just no one's moving, but one guy that was in the corner had his hands up and he was covered. That was Cameron Johnson. What he does is he moves the Cameron Payne, he cuts wide open. Cameron Payne just like, oh, here, take the ball right at top of the key, shoots the ball. Those are the things where like a lot of these players in the NBA don't do. They don't notice like if someone's struggling to set up the offense or to find somebody, to get things moving, move. Like how many times do you hear coaches yell, move, move?
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Johnson, he's just that guy. It's always the things that happen every game that you just notice. And he has like a little delicate floater now too. He had tonight, like just Oh, I don't know, man. I'm lost for words because it's never ending. He did mess up with like the turnover late in the game, but then he gets fed again from Chris Paul. He never gets down on himself. Like Mikal Bridges kind of dropped his head after missing like every shot tonight. That's not Cameron Johnson. Cam is just ready for the next play. He just knows the next play is just as valuable as the last and the next. Like he's out there making sure that he is not going to go anywhere every play. He's just making sure like, hey, yeah, I'm on the bench right now, but Bill Simmons is talking about me. Anybody that watches the Suns knows who Cam Johnson is, and they want him on their team. And he's that valuable right now for the Suns.
Oh, big time. And that's why we had that conversation on the last podcast about whether or not he's priced himself out of our grasps, if you will, in
Better
2
not.
seasons. Better not.
Oh,
But
2 seasons.
yeah, well, because we'll have them all next season too. What's interesting is we talked about a little bit on the last pod about how he's even keel, doesn't celebrate. I saw some little fist pumps tonight. He had a shot, he turned around and kind of
How dare
little
him?
little fist pumps. No, I like to see it though. He's so his versatility is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I just think that, one of the questions I had coming into the season was, would he have the ability to really take that next step because there was such a short off season? And the beginning of the season, he didn't start so hot, but he's doing all of his growth in season right now. It's happening before our eyes. I mean, it's so unbelievable to watch his growth. And it leads to a new segment, Matthew.
Twitter takes.
So one of those things I see on Twitter as I'm, watching the game and whatnot is you always get the people who ask random questions or they just have kind of like the basic take. And one of the ones I saw is should Cam Johnson start when Jay comes back? And I feel like it's such a cheesy conversation, but I'll ask you, Matthew, should Cam Johnson start when Jay comes back?
Yeah, really quick, I gotta ask, because I had the one drop last pod that I added, do you have to have 5 more the next pod? Just
No,
to outdo me?
I've
No,
just been in
it's
a creative mode recently.
no, yeah, no, it's great. I love the new drops because I can't stop laughing in the beginning. I really think that this is actually really tough, and I don't know if I have an answer for it because I want to say just put Jay back in there, but man, this might be it, right? The way Cam's playing, I don't.
No, it's
You put Jay
no.
back in?
Yeah, absolutely you do. Because again, if you take that offensive firepower, why right now is Cameron Johnson cooking? Why is he cooking? Well, I've got a couple reasons for you. One, Devin Booker isn't playing very well. Okay. Now, just tonight, I'm not saying overall because Devin Booker in the last like 5 games has been playing fantastic.
Mhm.
But if you look at the offensive starting five that the Phoenix Suns have fielded over the past few games, you got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Smith. Who's your number 3 option? It's Cam Johnson. Okay, and that's why he's being allowed uh, to grow and to flourish with that starting unit.
Yeah.
Once DA comes back, DA takes that spot, and then Cam would become the 4th option, and at best. Whereas with the second option or with the second team, I'm sorry, he's the second option scoring. We know that Payne's the first option scoring because he just doesn't pass the ball and he just wants to drive to the rim every time. But when he does kick the ball, it's Cam Johnson. So I think that obviously when Jay comes back, Jay comes right back, and you keep that balance in the force. Now, long term, yeah, next year Cam Johnson's the starting 4, man. I mean, he's showing it. He's fantastic, and that is the first edition of Twitter Takes. You think that's good? Wait till you see the commercial I put together for the solar panel podcast. Whew, man, we'll be debuting that here on Sunday or something,
Okay.
or on
Very cool.
Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be taking a look.
It's a nice little commercial for a bright side night, so we'll be doing that. Justin Jackson,
Mhm.
he's out there wearing number 45, Matthew.
Oh yeah, AC Green.
There you go, my man.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I'm like,
boy.
I was gonna say, who's your favorite son to ever wear number 45?
That's my
Because
favorite son of all time. Is just AC Green.
dude, there's been some
My
great
first one.
guys, who have worn number 45, and Bo Outlaw did, Stephen Hunter did, but yeah, AC
Mhm.
Green, man, the Iron Man, and it just looks good on a jersey. I
It
feel
looks
like
so good.
every time we play 2K, don't you make yourself number
Yep,
45?
it's always 45. Yeah, I'm like a point guard with 45. Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks good on a jersey. I kind of wish we could keep Justin Jackson and like dish
Hmm.
out Abdul Nader to the curb.
Oh,
You know, I
Yeah,
know it's
could we
been a
just
long
play
time.
could we just play 4 bigs at one time and not have Nader? You know what I mean? Just do something like that. No, just kidding, Nader. Well, come back. Whatever is going on with him. I don't know. Does he have COVID? Is it COVID protocol? It is,
No, I think
or
he
what is
entered.
it?
He entered COVID protocols, but I think
It
he
was
still has some sort of
okay.
injury.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
let's
don't.
let's
Go ahead.
talk a little bit about your boy EP Alfred Payton. 18 minutes, 10 points, 4-9 shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Uh, I just read campaigns. I'm sorry, Alfred
Yeah.
Payton. 15.
See, they're confusing, aren't they? I get them confused all the time.
6 points for Alfred Payton, two
Mhm.
rebounds, 1 assist. Um, I really like the way that he played tonight. I think that he made some very crucial baskets during that middle of the third to the end of the third, at the beginning of the fourth, when the Clippers were really putting it on the Suns. Because Phoenix only scored 19 points in that third
Mhm.
quarter. I feel like Alfred Payton's the one who just kind of kept them just at arm's length, because whenever you are going against a team that doesn't have uh, a really strong rim protection kind of guy, because Serge Ibaka just wasn't cutting it, at that point of the game, that he can feast, and he did so
Yeah.
tonight, and he really helped the team when we needed him to. So we don't need to slander him, as Fabio says, like decent game by EP. As long as we get a decent game by EP, I'm happy, man.
Yeah, the praise, I love it. I do love how he tried to do have a jump ball with Jalen Smith at one time on the floor. That was great. I don't know why they didn't call a jump ball between those two. But there's just, I mean, two ways it's gonna go for him. Because I'm not gonna say his name because I already messed it up again. He will either go to the rim, he'll miss it, or he'll go to the rim and make it. That's all he does. You know what I mean? I'm serious. That's it. Tonight he had a few easier ones because the defense backed off, and he did make some crucial shots down there. But that's just all he really does. He loves to just go to the rim and try to
Oh
finish
yeah.
there, make or miss. I know, of course, make or miss league where we're living in right now, but just in the paint, that's all he wants to do. That's all he wants to do.
Well, and again, that's because he has. I don't have the number in front of me, but it is really bad when it comes to shooting from three. It's in like the 20%. It's like 26% or something. So he's definitely just
Yeah.
he's not a shooter in any way, shape, or form. So that's the only way he can generate offense. And generally, the way that Alfred Payton likes to operate is he'll drive to the hole, and if he's got the shot, he'll take it. If not, he has the awareness to hit guys who are wide open. He doesn't pull the Eric Bledsoe. And that's where a lot of the frustration has occurred this season is he has turned the ball over like Eric Bledsoe when he's driven to the rim in the past. It's like seeing our old number two, Eric Bledsoe, coming down the middle, not knowing what he's doing. But in this game, I really feel like he had a good sense of where he was, where his teammates were, and he took advantage of both. And again, that's all you really want from him. As I read Cameron Payne's stat line, I was actually surprised to see that Campaign was
Mm.
4 for 9 from the field, because I feel like he missed a ton of shots, man. Because
Towards the end, yeah.
he's another guy who it's just like downhill for him. He'll take a three, and he was 1 for 1 on three. He'll take some transition threes of that nature. But both of our backup point guards have the same mentality of just like, we're just gonna go downhill and try to create a shot for
Mhm.
ourselves. Uh, I think it's probably our one glaring weakness now is really our backup point guard play, because I don't feel like
Mm.
we're getting consistency from Cameron Payne. So take a look at his statistics so far this year. Okay, he's averaging 10.5 points, right? Which is his most in his career. But he's also shooting the most he's ever in his career, and his field goal percentage is at 39%. He's shooting 31% from deep. Okay, so he's not knocking them down from deep. He's not. If you're shooting 39% overall and you're a guard, you should be in the mid 40s to close to 50% to be effective as much as he goes to the hole. And I really feel like there's an opportunity for the Phoenix Suns to uh, just I'm not obviously saying get rid of Campaign, get rid of Alfred Payton, but there's an opportunity for the Suns to really focus on trying to get Campaign going, because we're going to really need him. And they talked
Mhm.
about it. What Bill Simmons was talking about, that how he disappeared in the playoffs or in the finals, which he did.
Yeah, but it's hard to count on someone, I don't know, like that consistently. And then the lady, I forget her name, she's awesome. I really like her whenever she's a guest, and I guess she does the NBA Ringer podcast too. She has some good takes, but he did help us out in the playoffs, so that was very important.
Oh
I
yeah.
just think the thing is with Payne, like his 39% percentage, a lot of those were just really bad takes. I feel like early in the year he was just shooting those The 3-pointers off, the fast breaks that were just horrendous, like on the move, like the feet were not set, just jacking them up. So first half in this game, he actually looked like in like the past maybe week, 2 weeks he's been playing, he's been slowing things down. So in the first half, he's just really slow, and he gets in there, he takes his time, he has some good looking shots, little delicate floater. He must have copied Cameron Johnson. I mean, he must be watching Cameron Johnson tape because his floater was really nice and had some good touch in the first half. But then second half, it was too quick. Too many more bodies in the lane that were crowding him at one time, and then he would just shove the shot up there with a really bad release, a really forced release. So that's like really the difference. It's just he gets too into his head sometimes. In the second half, you could see that, and it just leads to really bad shot attempts. But they're like from the same spot on the floor where he's making them before. It's just
Mhm.
he's going too quick. He's just forcing it too much. And I think in those situations, he needs to find like another option to where, okay, they're crowding. Do I find somebody? He did miss Sticks today, and I think Sticks helped him up after it was a charge from Cameron Payne. And he's like, "Hey, dude, I was wide open. Like, just lob it up." He needs to trust these big men underneath the paint or underneath the rim, because they're there. They're there. He just needs to have another option instead of just chucking it up at the rim. Even if he thinks, even if he's close, if it's not a good looking attempt, just make sure that there's maybe somebody around, or just bring the ball back out, or keep the dribble alive and do something like a Steve Nash esque. You know what I mean? Just have another option out there, man.
No, I completely agree. It's too one zoned mind. He's just like, I'm doing this. He's not looking around. And again, that's where, I get the Eric Bledsoe ish. It's like it's a one track mind,
Yeah, yeah.
and you have to look for your. And he does a great job. Ted Lubin just said it in the chat. He goes, he does a great job with JaVale McGee, and he really does. Like him and JaVale work great together. And I think that he's definitely been missing JaVale. But you have to take a look around and go. You know what? I can't every play try to get mine. What makes me successful is making those around me successful. Again, we go back to the point guard and how he operated tonight in those last 5 minutes, and that's why we won this game by 17 points when it was a 5 minute lead with 5 minutes left. It's because
Mhm.
he is selfless and he makes those around him truly better, and that's where campaign is just that's not his forte. Although I would like it to be.
Yeah, really quick too. It's like basically he's in a really great relationship right now with the Suns and what he's doing as a backup point guard. He needs to just slow things down on his way home, grab a bottle of wine or something, just take it easy, take the night off. You know what I mean? Meaning just to slow things down, dude. And whatever I was just talking about right there made no sense. So just ignore what the hell I was talking about, but just relax,
It made
Just
perfect sense.
because when he's playing relaxed, and I swear he is
Well,
slowing
that's the
down,
key.
then he's playing good. Like, just slow it down, man. You don't have to be a speedster all the time.
Completely agree. I like it. Relax a little bit, because again, when you relax and you're not rushing everything, the you're going to find your teammates open, and you're
Yeah.
going to have, but when you're rushing too much, you're not going to see them. So, but again, that's who campaign is, and we take the good with the bad. And again, as I read the stat line, it wasn't necessarily that bad. It felt worse to me, but again, 10 points from him on 4 of 9 shooting, 1 for 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Way to go, fucking a, right? Way
Mhm.
to go, way to go. All right, let's see. Where are we at now? What else? Oh, one thing I want to talk about before we get to the jam star of the game is just some of the Suns transactions. We did lose a couple Suns players. Emmanuel Terry, who was with us on a 10-day contract, he was waived by the Phoenix Suns. Chandler Hutchison was waived, and he was on a two-way contract.
Mhm.
So, I mean, he's somebody who's been with the team all season, so they waived him. So, what that tells you is the Suns potentially could sign another two-way player. I'm not an expert on this is where you go to the timeline podcast because those guys are so dialed into like
Yes,
every
yeah.
analytical thing. I don't know
Yeah.
what this opens up or what doesn't open up or how many contracts we have left.
I'm
I
the
just know,
same,
like,
man.
in theory, like we have a two-way contract open now. It's like I don't know
Mhm.
who we could sign with it, but I guess it creates flexibility. I don't know. Um, yeah, Ish since Jones since 80 says is Ish a two-way. Yeah, Ish is a two-way. I could have swore like two times on the TNT broadcast that they were saying that Ish was on a 10-day contract. Did I hear that right or wrong
No,
or
I didn't hear that. I don't even know
okay?
what kinda contract he's on, so that's
He's
how
on
bad
he's
I
on a two,
am.
he's on a two-way, and I know Chandler
Okay.
Hutchison was as well. And you get two-way contracts. So yeah, he's gone. So Emmanuel Terry and Hutchison, thank you for your contributions to the Phoenix Suns. Emmanuel Terry, I will miss seeing you look like Brittany Griner out there.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, it's that time of the podcast. You let us know if you're watching along live in the chat who your Jam star of the game is. And if you're listening, this is a good time. Just go and hit that subscribe button, hit that rate button, give us 5 stars. Write in the Apple reviews who your Jam star of the game is. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
Matthew, for sure. For sure.
Who's my jam star? Is that what you're going to
Who's-
ask me?
Who's your Jam star, Matthew?
Oh, it's going to be Chris Paul tonight,
Dude,
actually. I know
CP3.
Cameron Johnson, amazing game, a really great first half. But it's just all around great. But Chris Paul just ends the game, dissecting that defense, doing things that he's done last year, playoffs, this season. It's just something that's constant. So him and not Mikal Bridges, I don't know. That guy plays for
Number
something.
23.
I'm just joking. Cameron Johnson and Jalen Smith, him and his 2 buddies. I'm gonna give them all together because they kind of own the final 5 minutes. It's fun to watch, dude. Just any young guy, just play with Chris Paul, and you can just do whatever you want, and he'll find you.
Yeah, you will.
As long
You
as he
will
hustles.
flourish. Yeah, I give it to Chris Paul. It's the first triple double for him this season, and I think that again, the way that he orchestrated that last 5 minutes was surgical. It was artful. It was
Mhm.
impressive. It was something that we should never take advantage of because for so long we didn't have anybody who could even come close to dominating a game in the way that he does, and doesn't even need to score the ball to do so. He's such a fantastic talent, and I think that it was another fantastic ending for him. Next up for the Phoenix Suns on Saturday, we are going to be playing the Miami Heat. Where's that? I just wanted to pull up the thing. Suns versus Heat preview. All right, so the Suns are playing the Heat. Did you see Tyler Hero swinging on freaking who was it? I can see the guy. Oh, Jamsters, help me out. He went up and he did the Pat Bev. He pushed him in the back.
Oh, I didn't see that
Just
at
like he
all.
did CP3. It was tonight. God, who was it? A center for the team that
Come
they
on,
played
Jamsters,
tonight.
don't let us down. Don't let John down.
I'm letting myself down. How do I not? Nurkic. There you go. Thank you, Crazy Pasquale.
Okay.
Yeah, he came up and he pushed Nurkic from behind after a play where Nurkic kind of clipped him on a 3, and then Nurkic took a swing at him, and
He took a swing
yeah,
and just missed, or what?
yeah.
Oh,
But I
okay.
mean, it's just so the Miami Heat. What are you looking for as the Phoenix Suns get ready to play the Miami Heat for the first time this season?
Well, speaking of Tyler Hero, there's a guy you got to look out for, right? I mean, he's going to be the 6th man of the year, comeback player of the year, probably too. He's in the running for those. But what I'm looking for, John, the return of Ayton, right? He's going to be back for this game, right? He
Let's
has
go.
to be.
Let's
They're
go.
out there warming up. They're on the bench. They're going to, I just know those minutes. I think I look forward to this the last 2 games where I thought he would be back, but this has to be definite. So I'm looking for that. And just a split of those minutes if we're going Suns side. The other side, of course, Tyler Hero, him, and Devin Booker. If they have a little bit of a matchup tonight, I know Tyler Hero gets a lot of minutes. He's averaging 20 points a game right now for the Heat. So his minutes be matched up with Booker. I don't know if it's going to be really a competition, but that's always fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody who rises up to the occasion because he is a huge Devin Booker fan. You know, he went to Kentucky just like Devin Booker did, I think. And
I don't know if he did, actually.
I feel like he did.
Did he? Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah, like I had the roster up. Now I feel like an idiot. Yeah, he went to Kentucky. Yeah, I'm right.
Oh, now I feel like an idiot.
You know, but Jimmy Butler's questionable. Bam Adebayo's out with a thumb injury. You know, their injury report is a long litany of players who are not in, which is unfortunate. This is the 4th overall seed in the Eastern Conference. They're 15th overall in points per game, but they're 4th overall in opposing points per game. And they have a defensive rating of that's 11th in the league and an offensive rating of 5th in the league. So it's interesting how they don't score a ton of points, but their offensive rating is still 5th in the league, and vice versa, kind of on their defense. So it will be at home. I think that's obviously going to help. It's the return, as you mentioned, of DA. Yeah, it'll be the first time, and potentially JaVale McGee as well. And it'll be the first time we kind of see James Jones start to experiment, I think, with Jalen Smith at the 4. So I'm looking forward to another fun game for the Phoenix Suns, and I want to see that Tyler Hero Devin Booker matchup. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That's definitely going to
They'll
be.
find each other. They're going to find each other.
Oh, big
Yeah.
time, big time. So, Let's see. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here today? Let's do this one. I think I clicked something.
Childhood trauma.
It's not working. What the
Yeah,
heck's
we
going
heard
on?
it a little bit. Yeah, that
Did
was
ya?
weird.
Childhood trauma.
Yeah, my internet must be getting ready to go out. If
Nice.
I'm clicking things, and did it play the drop?
It did. You're good. Yeah.
Oh,
We played it 3 times.
Really, I didn't even
Well,
see
a
it.
half a time and then like a quarter of a time, and then the full time just now.
I clicked it, and
And then we
like
lost
nothing
40
happened.
watchers.
All right, so
up.
lead us off, Matthew. Give us some childhood trauma. Pick
Oh.
something from your childhood. Let's talk about it.
Geez, you know what? You would be smart as if I actually did take notes to have things ready. So, John, you have to go first if you have something, because I have to think of something.
Okay. I don't put milk in cereal, ladies and gentlemen. And I know what you think. Whenever I tell people that I don't put milk in cereal, the first question that I always get is, well, what do you put in it? Water or orange juice? No, I don't. I eat it dry. Okay,
Okay.
and here's the reason why. Okay, there is a reason for the method to my madness. One, I think it tastes delicious. Okay, I think that I don't need to soggy up any of my cereal and make it taste like cat food because it's all soggy. That's disgusting. But the true reason behind not putting milk in my cereal is once upon a time, my sister was eating a bowl of cereal and she was crying and whining to my mother, and it pissed my mother off. Sorry, Mom, if you're watching the podcast, but I'm telling the story. And my mom took the bowl of cereal and dumped it on my sister's head. And when she dumped it, all I remember, very young, I was probably like 2 or 3 when this happened. I just remember seeing my sister crying, and nobody cries pretty. So she was ugly looking at and as milk was just covering her face with Cheerios as she was crying. And like from that moment on, I think psychologically something flipped in me. Like
Oh my gosh.
I don't like milk at all. I try to avoid it at all costs. I like almond milk ish,
Mhm.
but like the fact that you have to like pasteurize milk disgusts me. The fact that we're not supposed to really drink milk, I don't think. And again, like
Mhm.
whatever. But that's my that's my I don't put milk in cereal or cereal and milk or however you want to do it. And every time I eat cereal at home, my wife gives me shit about it too. It's like I'm not doing it.
You
I'm not doing it.
consistently get it too, yeah. And
Yeah,
well, that
milk can
was
spoil and it's gross. It smells when it's bad. If you're like a day past the expiration date, it's like it smells. Ugh, milk's gross, bro.
that was pretty traumatic though, man. Like that's
It's called
you,
childhood
your
trauma.
mom, no, your mom needed to sign off on that one, right? Maybe
No,
maybe you misremember it. I bet you that's what she's gonna say,
probably, but
But
whatever.
okay, well, I thought about one. If
Okay,
you're finished with that one, I mean, I think it
fire
went
away.
a little deep there. So mine's kind of like a ghost story a little bit.
Ooh.
So I think I was like 5 or 6 years old, and it was the old house I lived in, and my brother and me were at home, and it was leading into the night. I think it was like 3 o'clock, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to my friends. You want to go with me?" He should have just took me because I was young. And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I don't really want to go because, I was insecure at 6 years old. I didn't want to be around people. I was already in that phase. But no, he's like, all right, just stay here. It was basically my brother's like, do you want to go or no? And I'm just like, I don't know. He's like, all right,
You're
just
like,
stay here.
no.
And then he left. And I was like, okay, so I'll just stay here by myself. My mom and my sister are going to come home a little bit. They went to go get groceries. I was sitting there in the living room and I was scared of my, as soon as 10 minutes in, it was 10 minutes in, I was just freaking out. I'm by myself, but I was just scared. Like I just feel something. I'm like, this is not right. I shouldn't be by myself. And I was sitting there trying to watch TV, and there's like a figure, and this is me when I'm little. So of course your imagination, right? But I was sitting at an L couch, like an L-shaped couch. I was sitting directly in front of the TV. To the right of me, there's like someone sitting. It's like a dark figure just sitting right there. And I
Oh my
could
god.
not look over. Like I was freaking, I couldn't
You were like
move.
frozen.
I was frozen. As soon as I heard my mom and my sister pull up, I just ran in there. But it wasn't like the whole time. It was like off and on. and I was just like, why am I here by myself? It was the most first frightening thing I ever had, and of course I was young, so it could maybe not be the truth, but I remember that. I
But it's how
remember
it's
that
how you
happened.
felt, and it clearly was emotionally impactful. Did, like, the hair stand up on the back of your neck, and did you
You
see
just
dead
can't
people?
move. Yeah, yeah. No, I could not move, and I remember just the way. I mean, it's just a figure, like, it was just sitting down in there. Ugh! All right,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
gotta go to bed
okay.
tonight. So, all right, good night,
Well
Jamsters.
well, remember that one time you were at the house, and, what's that show you watched with the
Ghost
guy?
Adventures.
Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, best
Eh
show.
yeah, and then, like, something fell down upstairs, and it doesn't make any sense, like, the girl's
Oh
makeup box, the
yeah,
entire thing fell down, and, like, you have to
yeah.
push that thing. That thing's not light.
Everyone left. I was watching Ghost Adventures by myself. Again, you guys left me in the house by myself, and and I was just watching, and it was a really intense part. And all of a sudden, the makeup, these boxes or these drawers you pull out, they're plastic drawers. You get them for like $10 at Walmart. Just the whole thing just went across the bathroom, like the loudest noise I've ever heard in my
Yeah,
life. I
full
don't
of
know what the
makeup
hell that
too.
was.
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, Matthew with the supernatural, me with the reasons why I don't
Mhm.
intake lactose, and I love cheese, but
Yeah,
fuck
see you
milk.
later. All
So
right, let's just take it off. Who gives
everyone's
a
taken
shit
off.
about this?
Well, thank you everybody who's decided to hear some more childhood trauma. You know, it's all part of the process. This is like our therapy session, the Sun's Jam therapy session. So,
Mhm.
but on that note, Jamsters, again, thanks for joining us at the end of this game. Another dub for your Phoenix Suns. Not traumatic there, unless you're a Clippers fan, which no one is. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, hit that thumbs up button while you're here. Stop by Apple, stop by Spotify, give us reviews there. Uh, just help us out. We appreciate it. And on that note, we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, go home, love your family.
Take care, everybody.